giggles, guys, because you are opening the show this year. It's an honor to have you back on the podcast. Both of you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy crappy New
Feliz
Year.
Año Nuevo.
Thank you.
Χρόνια πολλά.
Χρόνια πολλά, ναι, Ginaula. Right, let's get down to business.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well, sorry.
It's all about business anyway.
Is it?
Mood killer.
Oh, yes.
Okay, sorry, but let's go for it. You know what? I'm going to start backwards. Let's not start where we started with our podcast, which I did with each of you from the Trump re-election. Let's start from the Zuckerberg announcement. Oh, I love that. Oh, God, I wish there was a camera in here getting their faces. Was that a surprise, first of all?
No. You think
No? Nadasa?
I was like, oh, God, he gave up.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be so leechy.
A little bit more time.
And
right?
it was so, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
I mean...
The softy guy.
Yeah, well, for me, it was one sentence that stuck with me that's made it obvious what was going on when he said, just like X. You imagine you're McDonald's. You don't say, I'm changing my fries to be just like Burger King. So...
Okay, so doesn't he have communication experts to tell him that that's not a good idea?
I think he... Look, has...
Or did he just...
Did people drop off Facebook? Numbers didn't go down. I was following that. Numbers did not go down. I mean, in X they did when Elon Musk did what he did. But in Facebook, they didn't go down. People that are on Facebook, it's like air and water. It's almost become a human right to have Facebook now.
Is that because it's a different target group, a different group of people?
Different target groups. And of course, I'm not an expert on this, but on Facebook, you have all these Facebook secret little groups that they sell things, even though they're not supposed to be selling things. For example, guns. Yes.
Okay.
So we should be talking about little groups that Facebook covers and that they can do their promotion of their own business in Facebook, while in X it's a little bit more different because it's a totally different platform.
Okay.
Because in Twitter, you can't, in X, you can't have groups.
Yeah, exactly.
But in Facebook, you got different layers of
you
communication.
can, and then you have this, promotion of goods and products in Facebook.
Okay.
While in X, it's like more like a mainstream communication platform where you want to promote yourself.
Yeah.
You do that, but it's...
Yeah, there's not break-off groups and dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So, Nadasa, when Zuckerberg made the announcement in our lovely little group that we have, which I won't, don't worry, I won't be...
Don't out us, okay?
I won't out you on everything. But, Nadasa, you said back to the Middle Ages. Costa, you said stock up on dry food. Elaborate, please. Ladies first.
Okay. We had this issue that, okay, we didn't really agree with Facebook's policy and Instagram's policy on the true checking, etc., but it was there. Mm-hmm. So we just had the fake news and the absolute lying and confusing statements happening in a very, heat up way in X. So as soon as he said that he's taking out all these restrictions, I said, okay, this is going to be, and a parenthesis, we all know that Facebook was the platform used for the changing of, for the promotion of the corruption policy against progressive governments in Latin America in the early 2010s.
Okay.
And this is the reason that was a huge change in the Latin American governments from progressive to conservative. And that's because of the job that Facebook did at that time in Latin America.
Okay. Is there data to support what you're saying?
Yes.
Really?
Documentaries.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll recommend a
was
few and put them in the
It
show
was a
notes.
negative development.
It was a negative development, and that's why after that it was promoted and it was asked by progressive users of these platforms to start having these fact-checking machines, etc.
The guardrails, really. They're just safeguards.
Yeah. And it's not like, confusion and fake news don't occur. It's just, okay, we can have our opinion written down and say, okay, this is not a true, or it's a partially true data or information. But now, when we have all these platforms with no fact-checking, we are back in the Middle Ages. We are back into what happened to Galileo Galilei. And we are actually having, in content-wise, we are having people saying that the Earth is flat.
And no one's disputing it.
And we are literally...
It's gaining traction, actually.
We are literally having the conversation that Galileo Galilei had at the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
So,
well, you had Mel Gibson on one of the biggest podcasts in the world, Joe Rogan, the other day, saying that if the ice cubes in my... Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
In my glass melt and the water doesn't overflow, then how come,
Do you know what's mind-boggling? Sorry, I need to jump on that because I sat there thinking how stupid are consumers to listen to that commentary and believe it. Because if your glass is full of water, and you put an ice cube in it, it will overflow. But if you put ice cubes in the glass, fill it to the brim with water, and the ice cube melts, of course it's not going to overflow because it's the same density and content.
Can you believe that you just had to explain that?
I'm going to have a lot of these moments.
There you go.
And I thought, no, I'm not. I can't.
So now that's more. Can I move on to Costa with his back to dry food? Stock up on the
I
dry
want to jump on that.
All right, go
what you
on.
said about the negative impact on Latin America with social media.
Speak closer to your microphone.
I think
don't
I have an affair with this microphone, and I'm a bit worried. I think also, if we look at the positive side of Facebook and whatnot, in the Arab Spring or even in Cyprus, think about Cyprus before social media, how there was no interaction between, let's not even go down the bicommunal path, let's just look at civil society. There was no traction of communication of different NGO groups, gender equality groups, LGBT groups, animal welfare groups. It was social media that brought these people together to be able to talk and share ideas and share posts and whatnot. So there it was a force for good. And I still... Maybe I'm living still a honeymoon period with social media, but I still think social media is a force for good. However, you're right, there are huge dangers. And this is where fact-checking was a great thing. Because, okay, if someone comes out and says the world is flat, you know what? In a way, I'm going to say, let them. This is an opinion. It's not scientific fact. It's totally wrong. But you know what? Let them. Because it's not inciting hate.
Exactly. I was going to say it's not harmful.
Yeah. If someone comes out and says, I don't know, Black people are violent and we should collect them all and put them away. This is inciting hate, racism. This is not freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So I think this is where Zuckerberg is really miserably failing right now because he's not differentiating between freedom of speech and incitement to hate and violence. And that's where the blurring of the lines between true fact-checking and all this comes in because, what do you fact check and what do you don't? What do you block and what don't you?
Yeah.
And basically it almost and I think he admitted to failing when he said, even if 1% of our audience, our consumers are blocked and have their posts removed and incorrectly so, that's millions of people every day having their posts done. I'm like, well, isn't it better to have millions of people a day having their posts taken down for the wrong reasons than leaving millions of people a day with their posts up for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had many things on my Facebook blocked.
Same.
Yeah, and I've gotten pissed off about it. I've been annoyed about it. I use the word, I might make a joke or say I can't believe you said that. I'm going to kill you. I mean, this is clearly sarcasm. This is clearly common English language.
Yeah.
But it blocked it. Okay. And I got warnings and I even got suspended for a few days for comments like this. You learn. You manipulate your behavior. I think it's very lazy on Zuckerberg's behalf, but I also think he's playing into an agenda where he's realized can't beat him, join him. Elon Musk managed to get into the Trump's cabinet, basically. He's now running the country with Trump. Why can't I?
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook is
wanna
stronger
play
than
with
Twitter.
I want to play with the big boys.
I want to play with the big boys.
What you said earlier about social media bringing communities together, that's one aspect of it. And it would have been really nice if it stayed in that form. The problem is that social media now has taken on the role of journalism.
Correct. And there is a good side to that.
This is what...
And you're hearing civilian journalism, civic journalism. Anyone is a journalist and anyone can do this.
Yes, this is what Musk is promoting in X.
You are the media now.
You are the media now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very dangerous because, as we said in our podcast, remember when journalism was about research journalism, and it took ages, and it took ages to dig into a case and to understand a conjecture situation and make a profound analysis. So what Musk and the tech communication platforms are promoting now is any one of you can be a journalist, any one of you can rise up and analyze on anything. So scientists' work is all about woke agenda and green agenda, so we don't care because it's not of our business interest, because it's about that. It's not about belonging to the big guys group. It's about doing business. The deregulation of the tech platforms, it's about opening up to new publics, and for these publics to be interested on products that are not going to be good for human lives, but there's not going to be anyone there saying this product is not going to be good because of this and this and this and because it contains this and this and this. So one of the basic reasons of eliminating fact-checking is that is for more consciousness users not to go against some products.
Okay.
And I will add, remember that politics is one of the most main product of tech platforms. What if you promote a political candidate and he speaks or she speaks and you have fact-checking? Okay.
Yeah, like
that's the point. This is where we're going. That is why I started saying this is all about business.
Yeah. And before I go to you, Costa, I was going to say another beautiful quote that you had in the group was about your friend Mariano, the investigative... Mariana Mojano. Okay, and she wrote a book in 2019 called Trolls. Guys, listen to this. And what Nadasa, well, in a gist, what you said about this is that Twitter will become a mechanism of organizing hate to transform it to a political movement. And that was back in 2019. And we're seeing this now. Costa.
Look, if you're a politician today and you're not on social media posting every 20 seconds, then you don't exist, right? I mean, from the highest levels of government to the lowest. I mean, you have the Pope doing selfies. You have presidents doing selfies. You have the president of Cyprus the other day doing a selfie with his daughter with his tongue out, which I don't mind. I think it's okay. Yeah. But it shows you how they need to be on social media because people are not going to official websites, official press releases. Investigative and decent journalism is out the window globally in Cyprus. That happened a long time ago, unfortunately. Social media, where every participant is a amateur journalist or analyst or, mythbuster or whatever. There's good and bad to that. I'd like to look at the good side of it in the sense that everyone has a voice, and this is true. That's a democracy and that's the free world. Everyone has a voice. Now, if Costa or Nadasa or Eleni come out and make a comment or make an analysis, it's up to you and your intelligence to be able to read that and go, she's full of it, or she has a point, or this is true. Unfortunately, I think the education systems globally have failed to catch up with educating kids through primary school and high school to say, right, guys, it's a new world. We grew up in an era where we were told to read newspapers and read books and do analysis and, I remember in high school, we would pick a topic, topic X, and we were asked to research it and all this. We're not teaching kids now to go, right, now jump online and look up topic X.
Okay.
And see all the different opinions out there and look at it objectively. And to teach kids that what you read may not necessarily be true. I mean, in the 80s, we were trying to convince people when you read an article, might not be true.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about an article being produced every split second.
Yeah.
There is a lot of junk out there. I feel very sorry for the kids coming through the system now who are entering an adult world with so much information and stimuli.
Can I ask you something? Because when you said everyone has a voice now, that is something that's been, I've been thinking about it a lot. You said this is democracy. Everyone has a right to say whatever they want, basically. How productive is that?
I think, all right, I'll give you an example.
And was democracy based on the fact that everyone has a voice and that voice could literally go every which way?
Look, and that's the thing. It's hard to rein in. I mean, like, you can't box it in. You can't. It's hard to regulate. And this is why fact-checking and some forms of filtering were good, because at least extremism was kind of tapered in. Going gung-ho and liberating it totally, not a good idea. But I'll give you an example, personal example, and a very simple, very cheap example. About 10 years ago, relatively new to Facebook at the time, been more than 10 years, 15 years ago, there was a park in Nicosia. They weren't allowing people to walk in with dogs. Okay? And we wrote to the municipalities. We called different people. We got MPs involved. We were literally ignored, absolutely getting no traction. So we created a Facebook group. We created a protest. We created an online and in-person protest. And within a week, the no dogs allowed signs were taken down and the municipality turned around. That was because using social media, we're able to move the masses. 20 years ago, we couldn't do that. And this is a very simple topic. This is just moving dogs in a park. When we start talking about human rights...
Why couldn't you do it 20 years ago? I could write to the municipality or to the mayor and get a bunch of other parents... They would ignore me because there wouldn't be public eyes on it.
They weren't being, it wasn't the public eye. But there is a flip side to this, by the way, where municipalities and leaders and whatever do things, even if it's wrong, because the world is looking at them, where they're not mature enough as leaders to say, guys, we hear you. There's thousands of you protesting against XYZ, but this is not okay because it's racist or it's illegal or it's dangerous or it's going to cost the government far too much money and we'll have to take it away from somewhere else. Governments, leaders, they're not mature enough, in my view, at the moment to push back with good, valid reasons.
But how can they push back when you literally have millions who have access to social media and they can push back on what you said?
That is why... repeating some of the ideas. I mean, politics have lost its capacity of action in the territory. Yeah. In the territory, not in the territory of communication. I think 20 years ago...
Is it lost or they're losing it?
It's lost.
It's lost.
I mean, how hard is it to bring 20 people in one room to have a political conversation? It's very hard.
Yeah.
How hard is it to go on a demonstration, to organize a demonstration?
Yeah,
it's very hard. So what happened is that this NGO idea in the 90s that politics were not representative of all these groups. So what happened is that we have the over-segmentation of society in very little groups with very, very particular interests that also because of, we are fighting about the same thing, but because I want to have exposure and she wants to have exposure, so we're going to create two NGOs about the same thing with the same agenda just because we want, to have more protagonism. This happened to political parties and this happened to NGOs. And they are all fighting for the same thing. They are all looking for the same thing, public engagement. And public engagement started happening in social media. So marketing-wise, who is gaining in social media? Someone that is doing something absolutely different. We have the case of Fidias here in Cyprus.
So
he's not promoting a new political agenda with new ideas of how to resolve Cyprus problems.
Yeah.
Not the Cyprus problem only,
Yeah.
the Cyprus problems.
Yeah.
He's just being, marketing-wise different.
So politics is now clicks and views.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, because political assessors and gurus are, they are calculating the likes and, the comments. And this is how within political parties, when the leader or someone within the party or an NGO wants to promote something in social media, they have their internal communication and say, guys, we're going out with this. So give your like and make a comment. Doesn't matter what.
Yeah. Drive the algorithm in my
just
favor.
to drive the algorithm. And what you said previously, this is the problem. Yes, you are free in social media to say whatever you want, but if you don't have your community supporting you with the likes and the comments, it's like you said nothing, because it's just a phrase thrown in the trillion of messages thrown in seconds.
And can I add to that the whole problem with the bots as well, which we're seeing unfold in many circumstances. I mean, from literally, I was listening to a Tortoise Investigative, that podcast. Have you heard of it? I'll put that in the show notes as well, about how bots played a role in the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. Okay. And then they took it to Andrew Tate, how he managed to climb and become such a relevant figure, again, through bots. So this is something I fear that a lot of people don't have enough knowledge about. Where do you see this, Costa? The bots playing a...
I dare say that by the time this podcast goes to air, bots are going to be old news, because now with the rise of AI...
Oh, really? Yes.
I think that we are so beyond unprepared for this, because AI is not just visuals and videos, it's text, it's algorithm manipulation, it's entire articles. I mean, I'm starting to use AI for text or cleaning up things I'm writing, whatever.
Okay.
But I think that, again, no one's being educated, and not even adults, let alone the kids, to take everything with a pinch of salt. Like if you see, you've seen these AI videos of Trump and Harris hugging, for example, and things like this.
And Putin.
Yeah. And there's so many people that share this and believe it. No, you'd be amazed. I don't want to embarrass my mother.
I don't know because sometimes I think they are just doing it for the sake of it,
No, but you know what though?
Just teasing.
What, for shits and giggles?
Yeah,
but it cements an opinion though. Like if you have an agenda and you just keep releasing certain images, even if it's just for shits and giggles, slowly it starts forming an opinion that these guys are the bad guys, these are the good guys. We're against them, we're with them.
Is the new information? Well, it's new information to me. I don't know if it's probably not to you and to a lot of people who are listening to this. The fact that AI wastes so much water, would that be a deterrent?
AI wastes so much water.
Yes.
Well, everything I told you.
ChatGPT. Apparently, you need cooling systems for these servers and these. Am I giving you new information, Costa? Am I smarter than you on something?
Oh, hell yeah.
Did you not know that? No. Yeah, that little GPT thing that you did with the map with the South America, whatever it is. Well, that wasted how much water?
I don't know, but they're huge.
I'm telling you.
I know that data takes up energy, but wow.
Okay, I'm wondering...
They need cooling.
I'm wondering, Nadasa, if that is will maybe become a deterrent towards AI.
I don't think so, because that is why the agenda, the ideological political agenda of Musk and the new right, as we said in our previous podcast, is anti-environmental, is anti-social. So there is a purpose to that. They need to, why Elon Musk is interested, it seems like because we are giving him too much protagonism, but it's not just him.
Yeah.
He is a delegate of the rest of the tech a capitalist group, okay?
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Because it's not like we have something personal with Musk. It's nothing personal there, Elon. And I
My
exchange
darling
with him.
Elon.
Yeah, I write to him. I wish one day he replies back, but
He hasn't yet.
He's too busy. No, he sent his trolls to me.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But what they are interested in promoting the far right anywhere is that first they need to get their hands on natural resources like lithium and other metals because they will need that for the production of their own products. Okay. And then they need to have free access to areas of the world that they are very cold. Does that ring a bell? To freeze all these servers that are needed to maintain their businesses.
Did you get it?
I'm having a conniption here.
This is why
So Greenland's going to be a big server?
Okay, is that a Greenland
it's
jab?
not just well, maybe, but that is why Elon is interested in Patagonia, in Argentina. Oh wow! Because
I'm not
it's
dealing well
cold.
with this.
You can take your
but
time to process it.
This is very old information anyway. Because
There you go, Costa. It's just there you go.
this came up.
She's killed us.
This issue came up when the whole cryptocurrency came up because people that know about technological infrastructure told us, okay, yeah, you can go on with the blockchain and the cryptocurrency and everything, but you need really huge areas, territories, land that is in very cold conditions because, it's like, your computer, take your computer and you work on your computer the whole day long. You need to cool it up.
Yeah.
Imagine huge machines
Yeah.
that are working 24/7 to generate all these. These tech platforms do not just work on internet. You need huge technological villages with infrastructure that need to be cooled down.
But they have Alaska, right?
Well, yeah, but they have petrol also, but they go and take petrol from other countries. So
No, that's the thank you for introducing democracy to these countries. Come on.
This
God
is,
we don't have oil.
I will go back and say this is not about freedom of speech and democracy. It's about business. It's about it's about a more accumulative capitalist system. So they do not want restrictions. That does not mean that there are not going to be any rules. They will make the rules.
I was going to say, who's making the rules?
They are going to make the rules that are going to be protectionist for them.
No. You're going to make the rules.
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
A lot of work.
No. You know how they say that. That a famous fact where anything like the man makes the decision, but the woman is the neck and turning their head.
That's a very Greek thing.
Yeah, you will be the one that makes a decision according to your belief. As in, not you personally, like people.
I know.
Civilians will be the ones making the decisions, but at the end of the day, it's going to be these guys driving.
Well, this is what they are promoting. So this is what I think. When Costa said, okay, if people believe that the earth is flat, it's not a hate. But for me, that is more dangerous because they have been creating a new sense of thinking.
A new reality, really.
It's like if the earth is flat, then everything that we have constructed on the logic that the earth is not flat
doesn't apply anymore.
It doesn't apply anymore, philosophically wise, if the earth is not round, everything that we have, our world is constructed on a round planet, on a planet that has two polars, and that we need an equilibrium and a climate balance and an environmental balance in order to survive. But if all of these things do not apply anymore, then, chaos and anarchy.
Are we giving flat earthers too much credit, though? Are they really that powerful? Are they that
Because
high
it's about creating sense. It's creating new sense. it's not like they are too important. It's because of the manipulation from the capital to generate new senses. It's like
I think it's a combination of everything.
yes.
It's the social media. It's that people have, that our education system is failing kids. It's the fact that our politicians no longer can stand up and say, confidently what they want to say.
people are feeling confused.
People
they
are feeling
not
confused.
engaged with anything.
And
they
also
distrust.
Stupidity, and I don't mean that in a funny way. Stop laughing. Has it been underrated?
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean,
But it's been there.
And has it always been there? It's just
It's
maybe
always
It was
been-
always
it's more
been there. I
visible
mean, Aristotle talked about stupidity, and I think Plato too. I mean, they have literally wrote about that. So it has been there.
I think unfortunately, we assume that people are a little. Common
We are
sense
all
is lacking.
stupid in certain ways.
Of
I
course,
agree.
like I had no idea about the cooling down of systems for AI, but
happy to make you feel stupid, man.
happens all the time. I've got kids that remind me of this every day. But I think I think that we have overestimated humanity. And I don't mean to insult people when I say that, we're dumber than we think we are. But I think we've given too much credit to people. We take too much what we see for truth and for reality. This whole reshare, it's my poor mum, I'm really sorry, mum. But sharing whatever they see and not realizing the damage it's doing. I'll give you an example. My mum's in Australia. This is Australian. We say Merry Christmas. Okay. Yeah. No, wait. It's like, I know the way my mum saw that. My mum saw that is, oh, yeah, I'm in Australia. We say Merry Christmas. I'll share that. How cute. She doesn't realize that what's not written there is what matters. Hey, this is Christian white Australia. And all these Muslims and immigrants and violent people that are taking our jobs don't say Merry Christmas. They say Hamdulillah or whatever. Okay. So that's the unwritten message. Now, it takes a bit of intelligence. Again, sorry, Mum. It takes a bit of intelligence to see the truth in anything you share. Now, I know my mum is innocent when she does that. It's being aware, like social media messaging aware of what's not being said is often much more important than what's being said. So I think, we were using my mum again as an example. I'm assuming that my mum's going to be able to understand what she's posting, but that's not the case.
No.
And I don't understand half the things I'm sharing as well, I'll be honest.
But it's also very easy because it costs nothing, especially with Instagram, in 24 hours, your stories are not there anymore. You are the only one that can see that. So that spontaneity, it's like, well, okay. It's like,
all right.
It's not there anymore. I think it's like.
But isn't that what Zuckerberg was alluding to when he said about censorship? That the fact that we have to think before we post. I mean, he's assuming that that's a bad thing.
But what I remember the old good days of the British schools. Remember the debating clubs?
Ah, yes.
No.
I was one.
I don't. I went to a public school, guy.
Okay.
Come on, I did too. We had debating. You didn't.
I think one of the best. I mean,
Clearly we're nerds.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say that British education is the best in the world, but there are some things that have given me huge
Skills,
support and skills. The debating club for me was educating two persons to exchange ideas, even though they were too extreme, in a framework of respect and critical thinking.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
And in a margin of, you cannot do a monologue, you cannot fight, you cannot take it personal. So there are rules in this thing, freedom of speech. You cannot just go out and say whatever you want. That is not freedom of speech.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Costa, did you want to say something?
The debating, one thing I learned from debate club, and this is something that I think is really lacking today, is that you were tasked with debating something that you did not believe in often.
Exactly.
So let's just say I'm all for gender equality, okay? And
So you have to debate the other
the
side.
other
Yes,
side.
so I
Yeah.
have to debate against gender equality. So I have to convince my audience that men should be number one and women should be in the kitchen. And I've got to sit there and make a really good argument. But what I learn in the process, I mean, I don't make a comedy of it. I actually sit there because I want to win. So I really. But what I learned in the process is how easy it is to play devil's advocate, how easy it is to understand the other person's opinion. And then when you start understanding how other people work, you can either rebut them or join them because maybe they're right. So it gives you that critical, objective thinking.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the capacity of research previous to your debate.
Correct, yeah.
You had to go and do your research before.
And
And
I
this is
think-
what we have lost as a society. Anyone can talk about anything. And
See, you didn't do debate club, but you scrubbed up okay. So I'm quite impressed. Eleni.
Yeah, I did. My son's in the debate club and he loves debating. And I'm very, very proud of him. But I do often say to him that it is a way for you to practice active listening
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Which is a lot of what we don't do anymore.
Can we go a step back?
Yeah.
You mentioned about this whole posting something on Instagram and it's gone 24 hours later, whatever. The other thing that really terrifies me in today's world is the commentary that people put on Facebook posts and everything with no fear of repercussion, no fear of being embarrassed. I mean, like we had the case...
You're talking about the comment sections.
Comment sections, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not even talking about how you share something on your own page and only your audience sees. I'm talking about, Philadelphos or Cyprus Mail or Gasmerini.
yeah.
They post something online.
There's literally incitement to violence in
Yes,
those
and
comment
then you see
sections.
all the comments underneath. I'm looking at one now to read out to you.
Is it the fact check one?
No. It's after the shooting victim in Cyprus recently. Turns out that apparently the victim is Pakistani. He's a migrant, and allegedly he was shot by a police gun. Okay. Now, we don't know any of the facts. It's all very ambiguous. It's a very serious situation. And immediately the comments begin. I'm not going to read out people's names, and I'll just do quick translations. Congratulations to the police. They should get a promotion. He is a Levendi, Levendi in English. He's a
he's a...
top bloke.
yeah.
Okay.
Top G.
Yeah. This is without knowing what's actually happened. We're immediately congratulating the...
So the only piece of information that these comments that you're going to read out have is the ethnicity and nationality of the
and
victim.
who allegedly shot him.
And who shot him.
Yeah, so it's
okay.
a police officer shooting a migrant.
Okay.
We don't know
so
the
it's
name.
identities.
Yes. And this is literally on day one of the news breaking. So this is with the bare minimum information.
Okay.
The police should be protected. The guy was illegal and he was illegally entering the country, thus should have been shot dead. At this stage, we did not know where he came from. We had no idea about the Bodamia link. He was found in Acropolis. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the police officer. Obviously, he was guilty. He was a migrant. Now, and then the thing, what terrifies me more, 64 likes, 34 likes, 20 likes. So people are even, bam jekato. Shot dead, shoot and down. I mean, how?
The issue there is that the newspaper does not need to ask for permission from Zach or from Elon to, eliminate those comments because obviously they are not legally based comments. They have no legal support to be maintained there, and that is not censorship. I mean. The newspaper should, because the comment policy is of the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. They can turn comments off.
Yeah.
I mean,
But then someone will come back and say, there you go, you don't want any public debate. You don't want to hear the other side. You
But
just
that
shut
is
off
not
your
a
comments.
debate.
No, these are not. See, you're right. These are not
This is
debates.
I
not
know
a
that.
debate.
I know that.
That's not a debate.
I know that. But I was going to say, before you started reading out, I was going to say, if you caught a glimpse of some of the comments, messages that were sent to the fact checkers in Cyprus once it was announced that they will be no more. There was literally mention of slitting throats, and I will find you.
Yeah.
So when Zuckerberg says whatever he says, does he mean that we're also going to cut back on literal incitement to violence?
Yes, he said all the restrictions because it's very costly.
That's the other thing. I heard, is it like 5 billion
costly.
apparently? And then there were a bunch of people saying, are these people paid? Of course they're bloody paid.
But come on, it's not costly because of it. The cost of paying these guys. It's costly because it does not allow him to open up to the new market.
So it's not,
It's not the it's the cost of opportunity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that social media is actually a business.
It's a business.
And it's an agenda driver. I mean,
They know it.
Privately owned by one person. One.
yeah.
It's just one.
It's just one person.
You're giving so much power to
Let me
one
give you a hypothetical.
person.
If Zuckerberg stood up today or the next elections in America and said, vote for me or I will shut down Facebook. Are we not at a stage now where it is a human right to have social media and access to your account?
He's not going to do that,
No,
but
but
Musk maybe.
Yeah, but like, okay,
Okay, it's a hypothetical
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
like when my
Yeah.
account in a year and a half ago, my account was suspended. Well, actually, my account was closed because I was hacked and whatnot. Okay,
Yeah.
and for a week, I was disconnected from the world. I lost half my contacts.
Yes.
I don't think I have your mobile numbers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I lost half my contacts. It cost me business wise those couple of weeks, and it was by sheer luck and mess or contacts that I was actually able to get my account
Recover
back.
it, yeah.
And it really was a miracle that I got my account back because others that had the same thing as me did not get it
Yeah.
back. I sat there and I thought to myself, is it not my human right to have my communication source, my access,
Yes,
my
of course.
contacts? Yeah. So what is stopping Zuckerberg from crushing global communication by turning off Facebook tomorrow?
Isn't
Let's pretend he's got his billions and he can go off and retire and have a nice life.
I don't
What
think
stops
he's going to sell it to someone else.
All right, let's say,
which
let's
is
say
apparently what the MySpace guy did. I was reading up on the MySpace guy. He did whatever he did, taught everyone about the HTML, sold it, fucked off.
Yeah.
yeah. But again, MySpace
Can't we create new spaces?
This is what I
wasn't what Blue Sky tried to do.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we do it? Because when this issue was raised up when the conflict between the Brazilian prosecutor against Elon Musk and Lula said,
when they shut down
when they
Twitter.
shut down not Twitter, the
offices. Yeah, sorry.
because he was not complying with the hate legislation of Brazil, etc. So he didn't want to pay the fine, and so the prosecutor said, "Okay, we are going to close your offices here."
Yeah. Not indefinitely, no, though, was it? It was just for
He then paid and
and reopened. Okay, all right.
It's a huge market, 200 million people.
Okay.
But in that week, everyone was saying, okay, if we go out of X, where are we gonna, go?
Yeah.
It's like, as you say, it's like a human necessity to be somewhere, to communicate your stuff,
And it's something that
to
whether we
publish
like it or
your
not.
photo by Larnaca Beach and say, okay, I'm eating ice cream and souvlaki here, the issue is, how do we create it? And how do we create it in a way to be collective, in a business way? And who is going to put the money? And how are we going to sustain that business, infrastructure-wise, and the rest of the stuff? Because it's not like you opened an account in internet, and as I said before, you need huge infrastructure resources to, have a space like that.
Out of curiosity, do we have any social media that is state-owned? Is TikTok owned by Chinese government?
No.
There is no state-owned social media?
No.
I think we should look at it. I think there are some Chinese social media that are used only by Chinese people, but I don't know if they're publicly owned. I think China has national legislations about management of social media. We should look at it.
Because I do wonder, part of me says, what if you had a state-owned social media apparatus?
And so what if you have a far-right government and you have a state?
Exactly, that's where I was going with that.
Same thing.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, immediately after Trump's re-election, there was a lot of talk in the States about creating a left Joe Rogan. And I'm not just talking about podcasts. I mean, in general, the media landscape. It seems to be like 3/4 of it is right-wing dominated. And we know that there's a lot of money in right-wing media, a lot of money.
I think
So is this what is missing from the global social media landscape?
I don't think that
Is it a left-right?
I don't. I could be correct.
I'd
I
like your
think there is.
opinion,
I think indeed there is a huge far right in social media and whatnot. But I do think that there is also, dare I say, a far left in social media as well. I think what is lacking is the moderate right down the middle. I think that's what's missing. You have to be extreme to get attention. You can't come out and play devil's advocate and say, oh, look, we need a voice of moderation. We need to be a little bit more fair. I'm not going to plug any political parties right now. Anyone who knows me will know what I'm talking about.
We need to be disruptive in order to call the attention in social media.
Yes, we need to be disruptive, but that elements...
But people don't like the center, guys.
No, they don't, because it's not sexy and it's not exciting. It's just safe.
Yeah.
There's no sensationalism in the center.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really wrong if we talk about the I mean, we know that mainstream media and social media are now extremely politicized and ideologized. I think what is really missing is for
the boots on the ground voices.
I mean, we need people that are doing real research. You know, we need researchers to talk to people. We need them because they have lost ground either on the left or the right, you know?
So your equivalent of the center is...
It's not the center. It's like we have to go for the truth, you know?
Well, yeah. Okay.
We need... And it's not the absolute truth, because then we bring out philosophical issues like, you know, the one that says the truth is the one that manipulates reality, blah, 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 blah. But I believe that scientists have lost ground in public media. We are not, I saw this video the other day, we are not anymore interested on the Nobel Prizes. We are interested on Hollywood actresses and, you know, and the global, you know, which is okay, but we should be more interested on the new advances of knowledge and technology. And this is what also the progressia, the progressive people of the world, we say, we want to take care of the environment. We don't want accumulative capitalism that is damaging our lives and with bad products and the environment, blah, 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 blah. But then we are not giving space to the scientists. And as we said before, we had this forum of, you know, the environmental forum. We saw it passing by the mainstream media, but then people don't even know what the agenda is there. The money that was assigned was a joke. And especially for third world countries that are mostly receiving the bad and the negative consequences of all these, you know, ravage and contamination, etc. I suggested a documentary that is on Netflix. It's called, I think, By Me, and I think it's very well made, and it's gonna touch our consciousness. But this is where I said, okay, now we need scientists to go out and we need to listen to what they are researching about. What they're researching about the space. I mean, we are listening to Musk again about his exploration in space. Okay. And we're not listening to scientists about what is going on in space. What are the advances?
How many wings of hospitals or school buildings are named after Trump or Elon Musk?
Millions. Thousands and thousands.
Have you noticed where the money goes? It goes to, I mean, like space exploration.
Trust. This is another word that keeps popping up a lot. So right now, people trust Elon Musk and they don't trust research and science. Is that a fair statement?
I don't think they trust him. It's like they like what he says because he's disruptive, and they feel like he's representative what they want. So
Yeah, it's like, we're giving it to the big guy, we're giving it to the man. Okay,
because he's rich and
he's
he
become the
doesn't
man.
need to be corrupt, right?
But since
That's the
is that it? Because I was going to
Yeah.
say, since when are we with the man? When did that happen?
When the man convinces us that he's against the man.
What
Yeah.
man is he against?
Himself, basically. But it's ironic. I know. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I'm against the mainstream, but I've become the mainstream. I'm the world's richest man, but you're going to follow me because I'm against the mainstream.
Okay, so the fact that my head is spinning makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's
It's confusing. This is
It's
what,
throwing dust in your eyes.
I mean, when you have people confused, they are more easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
Okay, so Trump comes out, he wins his election
Yeah.
on the platform of shutting down migration, sending migrants back to Mexico and Latin America and whatnot, putting tariffs of imports from Canada and China and whatnot. We have the LA fires at the moment, okay? And this a friend of mine on Facebook posted, and it was a really good comment. He's going, rebuilding Los Angeles is going to be expensive. The incoming orange president promised to deport illegals, especially Central and South Americans. Oops, there goes most of your cheap construction force. Yes. You're going to need an awful lot of timber. Oops, you promised to put tariffs of imports from Canada. Karma is a wonderful thing. I won't say who it was because it's not a public post, but this is quite fascinating. It's like, here we go. Where is the voice of reason in America to come out now and say, this fella promised to get rid of all your cheap labor? Sorry, he mastered as getting rid of all your illegals or your migrants. He's also promising to put tariffs on foreign products to help American production. But how many forests in the US do you want to cut down to rebuild Los Angeles right now?
I'm sure there are voices that are saying that, Costa. They're just not being amplified.
Of course they're not. Now, this comes to another thing I wanted to point out. In Australian football, okay, they have salary caps on the players. So no super billionaire can buy the best and have this super powerful team that just slaughters everyone else. Okay.
Right.
Now, of course, that opens up the market to, well, I'm an amazing footballer. They're only going to pay me up to $2 million a year.
So I might just fuck off and go elsewhere.
Well, not with Australian football. There really is nowhere else to go. But But what happens is then Nike and Adidas and all that come along and go, I'll supplement your salary with sponsorship deals. You wear my shoes, you come to my ad. Which, it's fine in a way because you're spreading the budget, you're spreading the love, whatever. But what if we did this with social media where you're not allowed to pay for views, not allowed to pay for sharing? You're going to say to me now, well, then how's Zuckerberg and X and all this, Elon Musk, how are they going to make money if you're not selling posts?
Okay.
That's a good question. But this is where governments can come in and go, I don't give a damn that you're not going to make money from selling posts because you're making money from all the other advertising, okay? So rather than making 10 billion a year, you're going to make 8 billion. Okay. So that way, this fellow that I just read out versus Elon Musk have just as much chance of being picked up by the algorithm as a post that's being paid for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And also we often forget how much people are being paid from these social media platforms. I was reading an academic speaker, whatever he was, the other day, millions of followers, and he was saying the money that I make on Twitter cannot be compared to my salary.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And the internet is filled up with all these influencers and video vloggers, whatever, and a lot of it's just crap, absolute rubbish. But they're paying for the viewing. It gets traction. It gets
It's business.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm building my consultancy, and I realize that if I do not really invest every month on Google advertisement and Facebook and etc.
Yeah.
You vanish.
I'm not there.
Same
I'm
goes
not
for
in the
me.
market, you know? I'm not there. Even if you have your marketing and you have a quality product, etc., you're not there.
Yeah.
And people want to look for you on social media, and I mean, I've and I have to do it in 3 languages. That's the other thing.
The other problem.
The other problem is like
I have to do it in two and
you're global, but people want to read you in their local language. So if you want to do your, territorial, I will say territorial business, you need to be there.
Yeah.
You need to fight. You need to fight all the time with the algorithm in order to, get there.
Your presence needs to be just
exactly. And the issue and the competitive issue is the less you write, the best you do. The most emotionally manipulating design you have, the best.
Yeah. That is true.
So it's not about your knowledge and the product and blah, blah, blah.
It depends on how much you can shock people.
Yes, it's all about emotions.
Yeah. Costa?
No, I was just thinking, no, I don't actually want to add to that because you basically said
Yeah.
it. But I was just sidetracked there because I was thinking of the questions you said to us before we started the program.
Yeah.
We wanted to touch on Fidias and his affection of Elon Musk.
Yeah. I've got Fidias here. I was trying. I was going to move on to him. Yeah, but
I got your back. You've
got it. Yes, you've got it. We're in tune. We're in sync. Go for it.
No. I mean, look. I think Fidias. I think
is he a Trojan horse for Elon?
No, I don't think.
No.
I don't think Elon is the one that rose him up and put him in place because that would be a Trojan horse. I think, to be honest with you, I don't think Elon really knows the guy. Okay, like he does an odd like and an odd comment, whatever. But I don't think.
No, he literally said Fidias for president of the EU Parliament.
Yeah, no, but it's very easy to make comments like that and then move on. I mean, I don't think Elon really
He has 200 million followers, Costa.
Who does?
Elon.
No, fine. But the thing is, I don't think that Elon cares about Fidias.
No, he doesn't care about anyone.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care, but he is laser focused on using him. I mean, because he did that whole speech in the Parliament about disinformation. We label everything disinformation.
Yeah, but do you think who listened to that other than the Cypriots?
It was very good. Thank you.
Who listens to it other than the Cypriots? Let's be honest. I think most European
No,
MPs...
I think there was a fuss in the European Union about a lot of Fidias. Fidias, it's not personal anyway.
Again, yes.
No,
It's really not personal. We are commenting about your political activity and ideological platform. I think what the last 2 weeks we have seen declarations of Elon saying that he is going to be the responsible to promote the far-right organization and rise up of candidates of the far-right in Europe. And he is going to do it personally. And I think his platforms and his businesses are the mechanisms of doing that, but on the other hand, are the basis of his economic and political interests. I mean, the guy really wants to rule the world. I mean, I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, I know.
He's expressing that literally.
Yeah.
So, okay, respect for that.
I think it's what you said, Costa, in one of your messages. You said these guys are not born into kingdoms, so they have to find a way to rule a kingdom.
Yeah, it's what I was saying.
Okay, finish up. Yeah,
we began in a world where it was based on tribes and royalties and feudal systems, and we've gone towards democracies and republics in general. And I think we're flowing back to the old way of things, but not people that are born into dynasties, but people that pay their way into dynasties. So Elon, for example, is super rich. He buys his way into power, and look where he is now. Now, his children, they may be just as rich, but they're not necessarily going to take on the positions like the sons of and daughters of kings and queens.
Well, one of them hasn't because they're trans. And that is literally a lot of people. Sorry, I know I've interrupted you again, but a lot of people who have been studying Elon Musk for years are saying that is literally what made him just flick, just go absolutely mad.
Isn't it funny how those people that are most against homosexuals, for example, are homosexual themselves?
Or they have, or in their family.
And in this case, like those that are against trans have somebody trans in their family, their own child. I mean, like, this is just... I mean,
but you literally have a guy who's spouting family value rhetoric and love your kids and your wife and whatever, and you literally raised a child that doesn't want anything to do with you. So how good of a parent are you? Anyway, can we go back to Fidias?
So back to Fidias.
Costa, yeah.
I think Fidias is a clever kid. I've got time for him. I'm following him. He has my interest. However, I've been holding my breath and I've given him his little honeymoon period to settle in, but I'm waiting for some policy, some decent European or even Cypriot policy delivering. At the moment, it just seems to be all gag reflexing comments, podcasts.
Why did you think that he was going to deliver on policy? Where did you see any indication of that?
None whatsoever.
Okay, no, I'm interested. If you did and I'd missed it, I would like to know.
But this is the thing, like I tried to play devil's advocate. I'm like, okay, he got elected. 70,000 Cypriots went with this guy. Okay, respect to the 70,000.
Yeah, fair. Yeah,
deliver, dude.
Agreed.
Deliver. Like, okay, you're doing some little videos explaining how the EU works. Congratulations. The EU has failed miserably at doing that themselves. Okay, I'll pay that. Okay,
but is he really saying something new? I mean,
No, of course not.
I
It's literally
watched
the
a couple of them without sound because I'm sorry, but I can't listen to his voice for very long. But I read the subtitles and there's nothing. I mean,
Look,
why are we expecting him to?
He didn't need to be elected as an MEP to do this. He could have, with his huge following, gone online and done the right thing, which he's claiming to do, by explaining to the Cypriots how the European Union works.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. That's a lovely post.
Yeah.
okay.
But he got elected as an MEP. So,
Yeah.
dude, you are now responsible to be an MEP. You're no longer a podcaster. You're no longer a TikToker, YouTuber. You are now an MEP.
You're a politician.
You are a politician. You need to deliver policy. You need to explain policy. You need to vote, disagree, agree, whatever. Whether I agree with his policies is another story. At the moment, I don't have any policy to agree or disagree with.
But he said on mainstream media that he realized, being at the European Parliament, that he's not able to deliver anything that is going to change Cypriot life because of the way that the European Union works, blah, 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 blah.
Rubbish.
He's a disruptive guy.
Yeah.
He's building up his social presence, okay? And he's going to do, I mean, why would you expect him to do policy?
I want him to.
You want him. But why would he? Because if he does, then he's going to start having problems within this very diverse
So then I come back
social group that
back to his supporters in Cyprus, people that have voted for him and continue to support him. What are you doing? Why are you supporting him?
Why do you think people care?
Exactly.
I mean, they don't care because there is a problem with the way that the political system works and the way that states have worked. Have been working. I mean, the state is not able anymore to resolve people's problem and because things go so fast, our problems are becoming so complex in a very fast way. As I said before, states have no capability of responding very fast in our very, very complex problems.
Yep.
So people have mistrust on states and they have mistrust on political parties. So they are just waiting. They are just liking someone that is disrupting against the state and the political system.
So basically, they're just making matters worse.
And basically, his supporters want him to do that because they are reacting.
They wanted to do what? Be disruptive.
To be disruptive against the state and against the political system.
Do they want this because they have an end goal, a picture of what that will look like?
I think they are
Or is it just, we're just going to go with it and anything is better than what we have now?
Is it not just throwing oil on a fire? Like, things are bad, they're really crap, things are out of control. Here's a jug of oil, throw it on the fire. That's what I feel like they've done.
I don't know. I think people are... I'm going to take your positive thinking and say, okay, there is this issue. Okay. People are tired. They mistrust. We have been unable as political militants and parties and the state to resolve issues. I mean, we have been resolving others, but then we have communication problems to make people, to explain to people that we have tried to resolve them and we resolve them. So people are making a mock through Fidias or through Fidiases, around Europe and the world. The same thing happened with Milei in Argentina. And they are just wanting Fidias to be the president of this country say, you see, if we want, we are so disruptive that we... And then what do you do with Fidias 5 years as a president? Well, this is what is going on in Argentina. You have Milei as a president for a year now. Inflation goes up. He says that it's not, but it's impossible. I mean, a pair of trousers in Argentina, simple one, no huge brand, is 300 euros. People cannot afford to buy their food. And you have 55% of poverty. Universities are shut down, blah, blah, blah. But then people are supporting him.
When I listen to that, what I'm taking from what you just said right now is that one thing is going on, and then you have someone who is saying it's not. It's not going on. So you literally have someone who is blatantly lying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually these somebodies, whether it's Fidia or Elon or Andrew
Trump
Tate or Trump or whatever, literally lying. And is everyone looking and wondering there's no way he would lie?
No, I think they're just like, you lie just like everyone else, but at least you're transparent about your lying.
In Argentina, you have a say that, well, he's corrupt, but everyone has been
At least
corrupt.
he's honest about
That's
it.
what we say here with the
at least we know about it.
And they say that about Trump. At least Trump says it as it is. And I mean, like, everyone else does the same things, but they pretend they don't. At least he says it. It's like...
That's the hypocrisy about the Democratic Party in the United States. I mean, they have been following an agenda that has been pro-capitalist and, pro-war, blah, blah, blah. But then discursively, they say that they are pacifists and they want to defend groups and blah. So people are tired of these, two sides of the coin. I mean, this diplomatic in a Greek way.
Can I give an exact example so the listeners can understand? The war in Gaza, okay? Everyone was like, thank God we didn't vote for Harris, because Harris was absolutely supporting Israel, was absolutely throwing the Palestinians under the bus. That's why we went with Trump. But then you have Trump coming out directly saying, from the day I take over the presidency, if Hamas doesn't release all the prisoners, the hostages, I will annihilate them and destroy them in X, Y, Z. Okay, there'll be hell to pay. But then no one says, oops, turns out that Harris and Trump are the same thing.
It makes me think of something that I was talking about with a friend today, and I'm taking it back to Andrew Tate, and also because I'm working on a solo about men and how they respond to men like Andrew Tate. And someone posed a question, and I found it really interesting. Why is it that when someone like Tate starts speaking to men, makes them feel like absolute shit? You're useless, you do nothing, you live in your mother's basement.
And they like it.
Right? And then you have someone like me or you sitting and saying the exact same thing, maybe not even in that way, in a much kinder and empathetic way. And
Yours
they don't respond.
Energy. Yours takes energy. Yours takes effort. I've got to actually concentrate and put in a bit of effort, try hard. I've got to do the things right. But the other version of events is I just sit back, bugger it.
But it's not. He's tearing them down and telling them how to build themselves up again, what to do, go out, get a job, go to the gym, make your bed. Or is that Jordan Peterson that says that, make your bed? Anyway, but it's almost like people are responding different. There are the same narratives going out, but people are responding differently based on who it's coming from.
Yes, of course.
But they have the same message.
But but that's a communication rule for ages now. The person that emits...
But communication is on the cards right now, is on the table, the way we communicate.
But it depends who.
It depends who, exactly.
It depends who. I mean, it's the same as... It was not the same your mother saying to you, do your bed, or your dad saying to you, do your bed, because, okay, maybe the response would be different.
Yeah, okay. So does that mean that our side needs to start playing dirty?
Outside being?
Outside being the one who's being more empathetic towards men and telling them in a kinder way.
Well, yeah, because they don't feel if they don't feel threatened by him, because he empathizes with them and they want to listen to his. Okay, they know he's not saying that to them because he wants to hurt them. He wants to help them. This is what they perceive.
But he also
and
wants
receive.
to gain something from them, which is the
Well,
exact
yeah.
thing that Trump or Milei or Fidia.
But that's
Whereas with me, I'm giving myself
Yeah.
as an example, I'm not trying to make any money off you or gain anything from you. I'm trying to make your life better.
But what is your underlying agenda? Your underlying agenda is that you want marginalized groups to be looked after. You want to look after gender equality. You want to support the LGBT community.
So it comes down to the key two keywords that Zuckerberg used: immigration and gender. If
Bravo.
you know,
It's not just that. It has to do with who they perceive you are. The empathy is another word that we need to put and understand.
compassion.
It's not compassion.
It's not.
It's not. Empathy is not compassion.
A study came out the other day that says the richer you are, the less compassionate you are.
Yes, that's another thing. It might be, yeah.
I'm so compassionate.
Because compassion is not philanthropy. Philanthropy is what rich people do.
Philanthropy is tax deductions.
Yeah. But empathy is listening to someone saying something that you don't like or you don't agree with, and you continue listening to the person without making it personal, and then with no, and then responding in a way that is not rejecting or aggressive.
Okay.
Empathy is what we have lost from our human values and capacities, skills. That is why it's coming up. It's coming up in business. We are talking in business leadership. We talk about how to be empathetic with your co-workers, how to be empathetic with your employees, how to have an empathetic business.
How do we be empathetic to ELAM?
I told
Okay.
you. I told you the other time. We need to sit down and talk to them and be empathetic. I mean, we have to say to them, okay, we know we are disagreeing on many issues. We just want to discuss.
And I think I've said this to you as well, where we need to sit down with groups like ELAM and go, okay, what are your actual real concerns? It's not there are too many migrants here. That is not their real concern. Their real concern is rising cost of living, unemployment. These are issues that we also agree with. There is rising unemployment. There is rising cost of living. Your view of it, though, is that migrants are to blame. Well, that's what you use to get attention. Our reasons might be different. Our reasons might be, it's because of, Elon Musk charging too much for this or another. So I think this is where empathetic discussions come in, where I think we can sit on a table with a group like ELAM and actually come to agreement, come to conclave and come to a consensus.
I mean, they reach agreements in the parliament. I mean, how?
Reach agreements in Parliament. I was going to say, you know what I've been doing lately?
Laws. I mean, some people raise their hands or no.
I've been spending a lot of time in football fields right now because all three of my boys
She's a cheerleader.
I am. I'm a soccer mom. Like, who am I? Oftentimes, even though I love the game, I've always loved the game. I look at these young men, these boys full of testosterone, running around trying to beat each other in this frame, right? And then you have the referee and you have the coaches. There's all this testosterone, there's all this hate, all this anxiety and nerves and this want to destroy your opponent. But they operate within a framework. They respect the referee. They know where the rules and the guidelines are.
And when a rule is broken, a little red card comes out. The fact-checking
And then there's
comes along
something
and corrects it.
exactly.
And then you have the whole,
You have
the
whatever,
supporters
and
yelling at you.
whatever's going on. Because I often ask my son, like, when we scream and shout from the stands, do you understand what we're saying? Does it matter to you? No. It matters to me what I'm doing within that
You concentrate.
rectangle and what my job is. And you're talking about young men and boys who in any other format would probably just go completely
That's why sports
out
is
of
so
control.
This is why sports, I think, throughout history has been so important, because it's basically put men and women into a field of some sort with rules.
Boxing.
That too.
Take boxing.
Which I hate.
Bash the shit out of someone, but
exactly.
with rules.
But there are rules, you know? I mean,
exactly. Yeah, there are
the
rules.
objective of a boxing, competition is not to kill your opponent, although you have the physical capacity of doing
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So you're not supposed to kill them or
My concern with
disable
boxing
them.
is more
So-
the audience.
No, but it's a great example, because
So my question is that when you have players like ELAM and then, I don't know, we could say Volt maybe, is there ground there for a fair play?
Yeah, I think there
Are
is.
there
Well,
rules? Are they listening to the referee's whistle
Who
and
is the
scared
referee?
of the? That's the other thing.
But for
who's
me,
the referee?
Yeah, the referee is not is the people through social media. This is the issue. It's not because the referee used to be the people with their election, with their selection and election in every in the ballot box, or people demonstrating. I remember Cyprus has never been a very revolutionary, place.
Sudo come sto stomaco.
Okay, but people used to, organize somehow, and they would express their yes or no to certain actions or, policies, etc. That is not occurring anymore. This is what I was talking about.
And would you say that there was also like a moral boundary somewhere? I mean, like you can't go and just kick your opponent in the shin and just break his leg.
Not moral, ethical.
Ethical.
Because if we bring morality into...
You're right.
This is one of the huge issues. We replace politics with
moral,
moral politics, and this is where religious and racism and xenophobia and this is what does it matter if she's a woman or a lesbian or anything? And what you were discussing the other day, I mean, why do you care what I do in my bedroom and in my bed and how you classify me as a human being?
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
So
at the ethical
This is Cyprus. This is a country where we care about if you're a vegetarian, little like sexual.
Well, of course. But
how dare you?
I think that what democracy has become is a place because it's a system with rules made by the business sector. It has always been like that.
So the rules from the base are wrong.
It's not they are
Not
wrong.
wrong.
It's like the democratic regime,
They
the
don't represent.
institution as it is now, the rules are made by the businessmen. Because any law project you present, you need to,
ensure that BP and Shell and Rio Tinto
it's
are
gonna
on
be
board.
okay.
Yeah.
Any social law, you need to, see how it's gonna affect businesses. I mean, migration has become a business problem. Social media has become it's a business problem. Mainstream media has become a business problem. So the rules of democracy today, it's absolutely business oriented. So the referee now it's not now, it has been there for long. It's just now it has become so evident, so it's business making the rules. This is why these far right are feeling okay in developing their political ideology and platform within democracy. I mean, fascism within democracy. It's an oxymoron.
It is actually. No,
It's like,
it is. It is. Okay, so I was going to say that how respond. Costa's taking a picture of me.
I was trying to get one of you
I'm
while
recording.
talking.
The president of Mexico
Yes.
responded to Trump with sarcasm, guys.
I
Oh,
love
he's
her.
brilliant.
She's a scientist.
Sarcasm is sort of like, have we sort of like left it somewhere along the way? Can it be useful in this context? You love come on, I'm giving it
Joe
to you.
Joe Rogan shared Donald Trump's post where he said many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficit, blah, 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 blah. Okay. He's talking about how Canada should join the USA, okay?
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan adds to it, I say we let Mexico in too. This is the same bunch of monkeys, excuse my description.
And if it's Canada, United States, and Mexico, it will be called cum.
Yeah.
I saw that post this morning. Sorry, I had to say it.
And did you
great.
See,
I
and there's
C-U-M.
penis and other, you see the,
I'm sure they're going to
there's a
work
global
on
map,
it.
yeah. But this is the same people that want to build a wall and keep the Mexicans out.
Yeah.
Yet
Make it make sense, please,
With
now.
a click of a finger,
Yeah.
let Mexico in as well.
Okay.
Suddenly, Mexicans are okay. Why? Cheap labor.
Are they okay, though?
Well, Milton Friedman said that like ages ago. Remember? He said, well, let Mexicans come in because, we need cheap labor. He literally said that.
Yeah.
Milton Friedman.
But
not
the thing is, all the Joe Rogan supporters, what bothers me is that I went through, and I wasted my time looking at the comments from people. No one said, hey, Joe, what are you talking about? We don't want the Mexicans. You said no to the Mexicans. Everyone underneath, yay. Following blindly following what these guys say.
What really, really makes me unsafe is the loss, and I'm getting like Ana Trisha.
I hate when that happens. When you see someone like something and you're like, no. Why?
Well, but sometimes you put a heart on a publication because of sarcasm. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But what really freaks me out is the loss of critical thinking. Seriously. I mean, you can be wrong about an idea, but losing your mental balance about things, it doesn't make you moderate. I mean, it doesn't, having a critical thinking, it's not about rejecting everything and saying you're lying to me. It's like you have to have this capacity of understanding what the hell is going on and taking a position at that moment. I hear people, not here in Cyprus only, in different places I've been, why a pensioner gets more than my pension because this issue with the housewives here in Cyprus.
Oh.
And why they get more than me that I have been a woman and worked for so many years and I, paid my social benefit, blah, 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 and I get less. Why do you fight between yourselves? Okay, you get less money, but these 300 euros are not going to make you richer.
Yeah.
Or, and okay, and I get your point. Maybe there is something that we can review there, but your enemy is not the housewife that is getting a more pension than you. Your enemy is all these guys that are manipulating what you think about the other person that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And then they suck your blood because you need to work day and night in order to survive.
Isn't this what I said earlier about blaming migrants for rising cost of
But
living?
it's not just migrants, it's men blaming women, women blaming
it's all
men,
these-
and
let's blame people
blah,
to
blah,
make-
blah,
yeah.
blah. And then the categories, why this guy gets more money than I get, and blah. So we are placing to an arena where they are all there, having fun and saying, okay, what are we how are Pinky and the Brain, how are we going to conquer the world today? And we are fighting among ourselves for 100 euros and 300 euros. And how do you become rich post your 40s? And I'm like, well, I'll prostitute myself. I don't know. I mean,
Definitely make more money than that.
I
Okay,
wouldn't make much.
did you don't sell yourself short, Costa. Let's move on to the final topic, which I think a lot of people will want to hear your opinion on based on what you just said. We mentioned ELAM, the 2026 Parliament elections.
They're going to be very interesting because there's going to be new parties entering the parliament.
What?
Oh, yes.
Is that for sure?
I'm pretty sure because, I mean,
Are you talking about this year?
No, I'm not.
Who are you talking about? Can you say? I need names. I need names now.
She's a journalist.
No.
Give me names.
Look at Volt, for example. A lot of the forecasting for Volt showing them getting around 2 to 3, maybe even 4 seats.
Okay.
And that's been consistent for the last 6 months.
All right.
And I think that could only cement further. I'm not being biased here, but I think that can only cement further because their support base is growing.
It depends how they keep up their communication.
Correct.
This year.
Yes. The communications is key. They've just recently had elections. They've got a new political bureau. I mean, you're going to see some changes there. So I think Volt is the new cool kid in the room. They are an answer to groups such as Dico, EDEC, the Greens. They're an alternative centre party. And I'm seeing them growing. And again, like I said, I'm trying not to be biased here, but I am seeing a lot of strength there. Plus, they also have partnerships across Europe. So they've got best practice sharing to take from other Volt Europa parties. At the same time...
But Volt won't be taking votes away from ELAM.
No. And I don't think anyone's really taking votes away from ELAM. The problem is that ELAM
Fidias did in the EU.
Yeah, but he's not running for parliament.
No, he's not. But there was someone who actually managed to sort of like cut them in there, stop them in their tracks. Is there something equivalent now?
Just before you move on from Fidias, I think there is argument that actually Fidias didn't take technically away from ELAM, that he took away from Agel. Because Agel lost their second seat.
They lost the seat, true.
I mean, there was the potential that if Fidias had not run, that ELAM would have got more of the protest vote. It wouldn't have been Agel voters going to ELAM, though, in general. That's not really a pattern that we see.
Will Volt be taking away from Agel then?
Volt will be taking away, I think, from everybody except ELAM. I think they are not aiming to really disrupt. They're not looking to disrupt everything. They're looking to be a voice of moderation in the centre, a voice of reason. When you look at parties like Dico, DIPA, EDEC, and the Greens, which all claim to be the central parties, none of them are truly central parties.
No,
they have
especially EDEC.
They have some elements of centrism, but they also have extremist elements.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all consistently, on the Cyprus problem, extreme.
I think someone said the other day when Andromachi was on a panel with someone from EDEC and then Sodiri Ioannou for ELAM, they said if you didn't look and you tried to guess which the EDEC member was and which the ELAM member was, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
And that's it. And these parties have grown based on the Cyprus problem. Parties like Volt are coming on going, no, it's not just the Cyprus problem. There's a lot more to Cyprus. There's infrastructure, there's education, there's health. There's migration. There's so many various issues.
Exactly.
The Cyprus problem is one of many. But these other central parties that I've mentioned earlier have focused only on the Cyprus problem to the point where I am convinced more than ever that if the Cyprus problem is solved, it's the worst thing for them. It's an anathema for them.
We've known that for like 50 years.
No, but I mean, it's more true than it, and they're not even hiding it anymore. I mean, like, it's embarrassing. Now, as for Disi and Agel, they will continue to remain the two biggest parties in Parliament at the next elections. But I think that the bleed from their votes is not because of ELAM or Volt or anything like that. I think it's because of their own doing.
Internal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the biggest party, and I'm putting my fingers in the air, that's growing is the abstention. And that's been happening for the last series of elections.
It's a global thing.
It's a global thing. And I think what the question here is, who replaces abstention?
Because a lot of people don't just want to go and vote for the less worse.
The lesser of two evils.
Yeah, the lesser of two evils.
They don't feel represented.
Exactly.
And the problem of engagement, you said communication, it's not just communication. Communication is an instrument for political parties or for NGOs, let's say, to, attract your attention. Yeah. But engagement requires more effort and requires more people on the ground talking to people and engaging. This is the huge
And
challenge.
it has to be dialogue, not monologue. It's not lecture. It has to be dialogue.
And yes,
You have to sit in the guffin in the village and hear what they have to say and not give them an answer immediately. Say, okay, I'm going to go away with it and I'll come back. Or discuss this.
Active listening then.
Yes.
Empathetic listening.
Sorry, just on the topic of abstention, Fidias is a classic example of what happens to abstention if
If there is someone to fill in that.
I mean, what's the word for someone who's an absentee? The abstenteers went with Fidias. It was almost like an abstention vote, if that makes sense. Because he came out and he said before the election, I have no policy, I have no experience, I have nothing to say. I'm an abstention vote. And he got it.
It's like a blank vote,
He got it. And good on him. It was very smart. I don't know who advised him there, but that was smart. He got the abstention vote. Now, he's not going to be running in the 26 elections. I can't imagine him giving up his MEP position to come for that. Maybe he will. Who knows? I don't
Can
think
he
so.
do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, he can.
Yes.
I mean, Eleni did that and then got elected and then went back to the MEP position.
You are replaced by someone else and then...
Oh, so he could do it then if he can get to go back in. Can you imagine?
Well, he wouldn't be the first to do that in
Todos
Cyprus.
gifted.
Is it more money?
Eleni Theocharos did that. Do you remember this? Eleni Theocharos
No, I
was an
don't
MEP.
remember that actually. Thank you for
She was an
reminding
MEP,
me. No.
ran for the Cypriot election, got elected. The next day turned around and said, thank you, but no thanks. I'm going back to Europe. And then the next person in line for her party, who had got only 200 votes, got the position.
Wow.
I'm not going to name names because I'm not a fan. But,
Okay.
So Fidias could technically, because he's not a party, he couldn't leave and then someone replace him. He would just be a wasted spot. But he could very well come back and run for the elections, and he may very well do very well. He may.
I think Fidias needs the European platform because he's building up his international, regional connections.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, no one will pay any attention to him if he comes to little old Cyprus.
Oh yeah.
They will pay attention to him because he's disruptive in a natural way.
No, they won't. He'll become irrelevant. Someone else will take his position.
He will become irrelevant because he cannot do what he's doing now.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Look, and I think it's a safe
he's gonna
space
be
for
one guy in parliament unable to do, and he's gonna be forced.
I think those that advise him will not advise him to run in Cypriot elections, not until he's voted out of the MEPs later in life.
Okay.
And he's very young, he's got a whole world ahead of him. He will change, hopefully he'll become
Maybe
more
he
and more,
learns.
Yeah.
Any other 2026 parliament election?
But I do, and I hope, and I'm not really seeing it right now, but I do hope that there's going to be an outcycling, not a recycling of MPs. So some younger people coming in, some more moderate people within the Agel and Disi big parties, for example, because I think that people are favouring the leftists in Disi and the right-wingers in Agel, if that makes sense. People that are more in the centre of these parties. And this is the model that we've seen happen in Australia, for example, where Labour and Liberal... the people that are more towards the centre would polling better as opposed to your traditional far leftists and traditional far right wing, let's say.
Okay.
If I'm not going to name names because I don't want to pull anyone out, but both in Agel and in DC, I see some very progressive, moderate, decent people that till now are only in the rising up stages. They may very well get elected next round if people see that.
Okay, I've heard that before, what you've just said.
And I hope that's the case because I'm okay. I mean, and again, people like Volters, for example, are okay not being the major party. They're okay with other parties running the show as long as they are a little bit more moderate and a little bit more realistic and professional and mature and whatnot.
Okay.
So,
all right. Nadasa, any 2026 parliament election predictions or comments?
I don't like doing predictions. Comments and suggestions is, I believe it's what I like about Volt is that what Costa said, that it's proposing a Cyprus problems agenda, not focusing just on the Cyprus problem that has been the difficulty for political development in Cyprus and attracting young people and trying to bring in alternatives for solutions for the young people. And what worries me is that it's the geopolitics around Cyprus. The stagnation, the institutional stagnation of the state in Cyprus, that it's growing institutionally, but it doesn't grow the capability, the capacities, and the human capacities mostly to resolve people's problems. So, and what really, really, really worries me is the dependency on European institutions,
Well, that's a big Volt narrative.
Telling the Cypriot government what to do. I mean, it's like they give you the homework and you go and do it. So this is what I see. And Cyprus is not like any other European country. It doesn't matter the size, because everyone is talking about Cyprus is small. It's not about the size. It's about the particularities of Cyprus on the geopolitical map, but also because of the Cyprus problem and the difficulties, the security challenges that we have in a very integral way. So for me, it's very worrying if we continue having this agenda of whatever the Europeans tell us to do with the structure of our state and the policies within our state is okay. And I see that there are no good results out of that. And this is why people are getting really pissed off, because they are not getting real solutions to their concrete solutions on their problems. Because these instruments that the European Union is giving Cyprus are not made for resolving the Cyprus problems.
Okay.
For many reasons. And I believe this is an opportunity for new parties which is a problem for Volt. I'm not saying go against the European Union, but okay, you have European values and ideas, but let's see what kind of political instruments Volt can create in order to bring in people and participate in the policy elaboration and design.
I'm getting a feeling that is like a demonstration of moderation, what you're saying right now, towards the EU, because right now, with the mistrust in institutions and EU and what have you, there's a risk when you say that not everything that the EU is
giving Cyprus
is a good idea. There's a risk that balance might tip towards
to the far right.
Exactly, and something along the lines of Brexit.
Yes, because there are issues that are cultural. I think there are...
So it would be a bet for Volt to be able to balance...
It's not a balance, it's adapt European values to new public instruments. I'm talking about structure, organization, policies, and engagement and citizen participation for the Cyprus measures. Because we are not getting it. I mean...
It needs to be tailored.
It needs to be tailored because of the particular...
The fit needs to be...
I see it on the infrastructure, It's like, oh my God, they are trying to do like a huge European infrastructure project. This is Cyprus. and on infrastructure, it's we drive on the other way of the road. We have, and it's like, this is not made for Cyprus. Something wrong. And I see the digital platforms, let's say, that the government is promoting. It's not a bad thing to do that. The thing is that the way that it's implemented, it's not tailored for Cypriot population.
Culturally.
Why? Most of the population in the business sector are oldies. They are people more than 60.
Yeah.
So they are digitalizing everything in platforms that are not user-friendly, and we have problems with the business sector in Cyprus that most of them are oldies, and they cannot adjust to that. So they pay fines, and I feel so sad because they have to pay fines for not being
Adaptive.
Up
to Costa, does all this make sense to you?
Yeah, but it's a two-way street. I mean, I think that Cyprus, look, we're a European Union member state, and it's going to stay that way. And Europe is the way forward. We're not heading east, we're heading west, let's say. And I mean that in the European sense. We have a lot to learn from Europe. There's a lot of things that we need to adapt to Europeanize a little bit further, such as anti-corruption methods and actual democratic elements in parliament and things like this. At the same time, however, we have to remember that Europe also needs to adapt to Cyprus and the Mediterranean and whatnot. For example, there's a lot of things in Northern Europe and far Western Europe that need to change and be a little bit more Mediterranean, maybe a little bit more Eastern, let's say. So it is a two-way street. And we've got to realize that we've got to give ourselves credibility. We've got to give ourselves kudos. We've got to understand that we do things a certain way that may actually be better for other Europeans. Okay, let's go away from Cyprus for a second. Let's look at Spain. The siesta. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unfathomable in Northern Europe. Go to Sweden, tell them that you're going to have an afternoon break. Unfathomable. But there is a human element to that. There is a chance for families to come together and have lunch, business partners to go out and have meetings or a walk in the park or whatever. This is lovely. There's things that Cyprus and the South can learn from the North, for example, like, paternity leaves and, shared...
Nice schools.
I mean...
That don't look like prisons.
Yeah, we need to, as our MEP should be doing, we need to push a lot of our agendas on Europe, but also accept the other way around and get things here. And you're right, there's a lot of things that in Cyprus just can't be done, like some of these major infrastructure projects, which are very European style. I mean, like, we should never have had a bloody Eleftheria.
Why? Do you not like our piece of cement?
No. I mean,
a slab of cement in the middle of Nicosia.
This belongs in major capitals, in big areas, and
Anyway,
a bad example.
Don't be subjective.
Anyway, okay. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, look, we need to Europeanize a lot of our instruments, a lot of our state apparatus, and a lot of our way of doing things, and law abiding and enforcement and whatever. But at the same time, we do need to give back to Europe some of our ways of life.
Influence them.
Yes.
I will add something else. Okay. And let's say if we do a SWOT of Cyprus now, there is a geopolitical actor that Cyprus cannot avoid looking. I mean, it's there, even if Cypriot politics do not look at it. China is there. And we need to start talking about China, not as the big master that is going to eat us, China 50 years ago was starving. And today China has no starvation and hunger and food problems with its populations.
Is that's so? Like,
yes.
There's no poverty in China.
I didn't say poverty.
There's no...
I said starvation and hunger.
You sure?
It's not
I'm
the
not
same.
doubting. I don't know.
It's not the same.
People aren't dying from lack of food. They might be poor. They may not be able to heat their houses, but they're not dying.
There are other issues. Yeah, I mean, there is a cultural issue there because it's getting known that China has overcome the starvation issue. Okay. And there are other issues that we need to know more about China. We don't have as such a linguistic issue anymore because they started publishing, stuff about China in English. There are a lot of researchers, international relations researchers that are writing about China one way or the other. And we need to start talking about China because it's a huge actor. We have been talking for 2 hours. We didn't talk about Russia or China.
Yeah.
Now, on that note, it's interesting
that's a very important issue. And again, we didn't talk about the BRICS.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I was going to say earlier that, I mean, I already said this to you in the past, that my gap in international relations is Latin America. And I'm glad that you've got that covered, okay, in this circle now. But I'm appalled by the lack of knowledge of Asia, including India and the subcontinent and all this. Russia, okay, Cypriots are a bit familiar with Russia, but they've got no clue about China, Japan, India, Southeast Asia. They've got no clue.
Yeah. It's so completely foreign to them.
And I found this really interesting maps online recently, and I'll try and find and send it to you, where it was showing the European Union states, and it was showing physical traffic and dialogue traffic, as in like, emails and things like that. And most of Central, North and West Europe was bouncing all over the world. Okay. So the Belgians, lots of lines going into Africa, Asia, America and whatnot. But what I did notice was that Malta, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania and Cyprus was only bouncing into Central and West and Southern Europe. Okay. Cyprus, which literally has a maritime border with Lebanon, Israel, Palestine, Syria, Egypt, have no clue that it's there.
Africa.
The whole Africa is literally meters away.
It's like here.
Yeah.
I mean, the only people closer to Africa is basically Spain and Portugal, So the Cypriot, let's focus on the Cypriot. There is no conscious of the world next to us, which is a massive market. We're trying to book tickets for India for next month, okay? And it's impossible to get there from Cyprus. You've got to bounce through Europe and whatnot to get there.
Yeah.
Okay?
You have to go to Dubai.
And pay a lot more and go that way, or go the cheap way through Europe. But the thing is, there is no bouncing of Cyprus, whether it's knowledge, communication, trade, travel, tourism,
The problem
commerce,
is
going the other way.
When you do politics, and you cannot avoid looking and bearing in mind, and you cannot just have the monster image.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like the US is, the peace and, security.
So let me interrupt you. Australia, okay, who is obviously in the Western North Hemisphere, as we call it, its biggest trading partner is China. Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. And yet it's enemy number one.
Yeah, okay.
It's enemy number one, so to speak, but it's the biggest trading partner. That creates peace, however, because you don't want to go to war with your biggest trading partner.
Well,
it's in neither interest.
In conflict resolution, they say, you have to exchange with your...
Correct.
And, if we take it to the Cyprus issue, why are we promoting exchange between Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots? Because there is something broken there that we need to rebuild. So
you don't want to fight somebody that's paying you or you're paying them.
Yeah, exactly. But there are huge opportunities for Cyprus in that front, in the BRICS front, let's say, which is the biggest population market now in the world. And we are not even, our politicians are not even, analyzing possibilities of cooperation or learning from that multicultural, multinational, multi-ethnical, regional cooperation, even though it's still developing. We don't really know how to categorize it. It's a multilateral organization. Okay, great. But with China, I think it's a huge issue. First of all, China with the Greek, with Greece philosophy and culture is one of the most, ancient. And they were, if you read philosophies from, Greece and China, we even have some common value grounds. Okay, we don't know anything about Chinese philosophy. We don't know anything about Chinese economics, technology. And although I think maybe this is from China. We are consuming a lot of goods from that place, but we don't know anything and we do not consider it in our analysis daily life. And in the hybrid war that we are in, suffering consequences nowadays, we cannot just focus on the United States. The United States are,
Is it the responsibility of the politicians to transfer this message? Or is it up to us, just
it's
the regular
their responsibility
civilians?
to take it. How do you do policy if you don't do analysis, integral analysis? How can you do policy just thinking on a small box? Avoiding like half of the world.
To leave the box. I just pulled up Google Earth for you guys to see. The people are like Eleni and Nadasa can see this, but the distance from Cyprus to China is 3,300 kilometers. Okay,
really?
The distance from Cyprus to
United States.
No. to the UK is 3,400.
Wow.
Yeah.
China is actually closer physically to Cyprus than the UK,
Wow.
which is our number one destination of flights
Yeah.
and trade and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, does this not send a message to
Yes, of
ourselves
course,
that
of
we're
course.
totally clueless as Cyprus? I'm totally focused on Cyprus now. We're totally clueless to the world around us. You know, I myself found myself. I was shocked the other day to realize that Tbilisi in Georgia is the same distance as going to Athens.
Is it?
And to me, Georgia just seemed like such a far away. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And then, like recently, I went to Cairo, and I was like, that was closer than Athens.
You see, fact checking.
Yeah.
We are going back to the.
No, I think I think Cypriot business people are stupid in the sense that they're not utilizing our location. We claim to be the center of the world on location, but no one actually does anything about it.
Yeah, but I mean, you've worked in an embassy, so you know that if you don't have a foreign policy that is opening commercial and political opportunities with other countries, let's say China, then businessmen are not going to, open by themselves those
maybe businesswomen
channels.
will.
Maybe, but there is a lack of businesswomen in Cyprus.
But look, this is like, what shocks me is that I know that there are a lot of foreign companies that are basing themselves in Cyprus and they work in the Middle East and North Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm embarrassed to say that Cypriots aren't doing this. They're coming from Australia, the USA, Canada, all over the place, South Africa. They're coming and basing. Actually, there was even an Argentinian business person I saw the other day who has based themselves in Cyprus because it's EU territory, EU laws, common law, and all this kind of stuff that suits. Good schools for their kids, and it's a luxurious place to live. Let's be honest. Okay,
you have nice climate.
And their only gripe is that it's expensive and tricky to go nearby. To fly into the Middle East. Okay?
As in,
You don't have direct flights.
Yeah, I mean, you can fly into Lebanon, you can fly into Qatar, Doha, you can fly into Cairo, Amman, and all these places, but they're expensive flights. They're not. Now this is the reason why Wizz Air now is flying into from Cyprus eastwards, flying to Abu Dhabi and all that. I'm like, it was unheard of just a couple of years ago to fly to Abu Dhabi with 70 euros.
Wow.
It was at least 400-500 euros to go to the Middle East. So. I think the psyche is changing. The foreigners are showing us the way. I mean, thank God for migrants, right? I mean, they are migrants too.
Another issue that should be also being analyzed is the buying of the land by foreigners. I don't know if you saw the news yesterday in Spain, but the Spanish government has taken a decision to restrict access to land buying and houses bought by foreigners that are not living permanently in Spain. Because the housing market has gone nuts, very, very high prices, something very similar to what is going on.
But this isn't something that Cyprus is going to do anytime soon.
How are we going to have all those towers in Limassol that are black and dark at nighttime if we're going to introduce laws like that?
No, I'm not saying that, but there is a housing issue coming up.
But what was the incentive behind that decision?
The incentive is that many Spanish people of middle and low class are houseless.
Because of the foreign investment in property.
And this is something that I start seeing in Cyprus.
It started now. I mean,
but it's been going on for a long time.
Limassol has been thrown under the bus, and Buffos is catching up fast.
Well, long time is like
5 years, 10 years.
No, 5 is not long term. It's like yesterday.
Well, in Cyprus time it is.
Yeah, no, she's right. Look, in Limassol now, a Cypriot cannot buy in Limassol now. If I want to move from Nicosia to Limassol, it's impossible.
Buy, even rent.
Yeah, I forget the rent. You saw the statistics?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's insane. 1,500 is the average for a single room.
For Cyprus, that is very small, and that we have population issues.
It makes it worse.
It makes it worse.
Okay.
This is why I bring it in as a suggestion for
so
the
how
political
do I was going to say
agenda.
so it's suggesting it to the political agenda. How and who would be interested in doing that?
See, who's going to say, no, I will not do golden visas and let people come and spend billions or millions or whatever and buying apartments and houses because it suits.
Yeah.
It suits, okay? Because some business people make money from this. However, a brave politician might say, you know what? If you're a foreigner and want to buy in Cyprus, there are the following rules. You need to be a resident for 6 months. You need to stay for 2 years. You need to pay tax, or you need to have an identity number. So many different things you can do. However, that doesn't make money for the big pockets of some of these business guys. In Spain, that was brave. It's very brave.
It's brave because it's an emergency.
Correct. And
they've got into an emergency situation.
But the people support it.
Was this voted in by a parliament? Who's in charge of Spain right now? Is it left wing or right?
Left.
It's left wing.
It's the Popular Party.
It's that Pedro guy, isn't it? Or not? I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. Pedro
The House President was actually in Cyprus yesterday.
Yes.
But look, in Cyprus,
she went around with
Anita.
Yeah.
There's no movement by the general population of Cyprus. Like, yes, everyone's complaining about the cost of living and the rising house prices, but in general, there's no mass movement of Cypriots demanding.
It's gonna come.
Oh, it's gonna
because
come. You've got no choice.
When the guys that today are near to their 30s and they are gonna try get out of their houses, it's gonna be a huge problem.
Yeah. It's coming.
But it's a population issue. And when you are a country, because either we want it or not, Cyprus is a country that is in an emergency state. Okay, so when you lose control of your territory because it's not owned by Cypriots, then you are in big trouble.
Okay. All right. But I don't hear ELAM talking about that.
I'm not saying, I just brought it in the
I
agenda.
know, but I'm saying it because, the whole narrative is protect Cyprus, protect our land, protect our people. And yet no one, as Costa said, is paying attention to the fact that Limassolians just cannot get a roof over their heads. Literally. Anyway, all right, okay, guys, we did 2 hours. We're at 1 hour and 56 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Bravo,
I'm
Mas.
sorry if people are still listening to us. Well done.
No, I think we filled it in I'm very proud of us. Do you have any concluding notes to add?
No, I think
Any hopeful messages to send to the audience who just heard us and thinks, oh my God.
Well, helpful. I mean, it has been so long. So, I mean, humanity has been so many things, has been going through so many things, bad and good. I think that I am a positive person. I believe that meeting other positive people while having this critical thinking it helps us go further. And as I said before, just meet with other people, be empathetic, try to make new friends, to, take care of yourself and take care of others. Try to be good people first, and then organize in order to, have a support around you and then around us when we will need to, face big challenges.
Yeah. Costa?
No, and I think we need to keep our house in order, so to speak. We need to focus on ourselves, our family, our friendship circles, keep the positive circulating. I'm echoing what you're saying as well. But all is not lost. We've been through worse as humanity. We've been through much worse as humanity. And that's not saying that we don't have dark days ahead. We will always have dark days ahead, but we'll always have bright days ahead. It's all how we manage it. It's all about trying to drive it the right way. And each person matters. Each vote matters. Each comment matters. You do what you can do for your little circle and just hope it has a ripple effect. I mean...
and connect with other circles.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And follow us.
Follow us, share,
And
like, subscribe.
And let's do it
Sponsored
again.
by...
Let's do it again.
We will. We will. And I think that it's good that every now and then throughout this year, we do cover these issues and keep people up to date, because as you said earlier, people are very confused right now.
And don't be scared, because humanity has a way of overcorrecting itself. It goes far left, it goes far right, and it topples and balances all over the place. We go from a black American president to an orange American president to a white American president to an orange American president. The next one might be black, might be yellow, who knows? I mean...
You're pushing an LGBTQ agenda here. It sounds like the rainbow, Costa.
No, but look, the world does overgrow. Look, after World War II, we created the United Nations. We created a lot of leftist movement, anti-fascism. Now we're going the other way. It overbalances, it overcorrects. I have faith in humanity.
Okay. All right. Good. I like that.
And science.
And fact-checking.
And fact-checking.
I will have on Thursday, it's Tuesday today. I'm hoping to bring this out today, if my kids allow me to. On Thursday, I do have a member of the Fact Check Cyprus coming to the podcast.
Nice.
It will be in Greek. So, which I think is absolutely necessary. So yeah, we're going to keep having these conversations and hopefully keep moving along. Yeah. Yeah.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
You had to.
I had to get it first. Thank you very much, Eleni.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Have a good year.
Yeah.